So we've got some lobster bones, and like any sauce, you've got to introduce some flavour. You've got to get some caramelisation on the bones, OK? I've got some prawn shells, and this is great. Using prawn shells, prawn, you know, from the tail, the heads, you know, if you're peeling prawns for another dish, great way of using up full prawn stock. So we've got to give that a little bit of time just to brown off. You're browning these pieces off, again, caramelising the sugars and getting those nice toasty, roasted crustacean flavours. You don't want to burn it, you want to brown it. I'm going to put in the vegetables after this has been roasting for about 4 or 5 minutes. Plenty of garlic, plenty of shallots, and a good amount of carrot as well, because you get plenty of sweetness from the carrot. So the fennel. How does this compare to the blue team's shrimp essence that you made so far? Poe?
I don't want to sound like a smartass, but this is actually how I would have done it. But I wasn't in charge of the sauce, so...
Yeah, but why didn't you do it then?
Because I was delegated a task and I did what I was asked.
All right, interesting. OK, so bay leaves, a couple of star anise, and then also a few peppercorns and crushed coriander seeds go in. And a bit of thyme, all right? Quite generous. Now, next stage, brandy. And the thing about using brandy, and everybody goes wild over this, but you need to flame the brandy to burn off the alcohol, technically. If it doesn't flame, it doesn't matter. All right, and then a bit of the ouzo. All right, and again, that's just to... And the flame will go out naturally when the alcohol's burnt off. Next up, the stock, and I'm using a chicken stock. That's going to come up to the boil. I've got some fresh tomatoes that I've just taken the seeds out of. And then a few of the fronds from the fennel, which is the fennel tops, right? And then the tarragon, I'm putting stalks and all, just a few nice pieces of that. And that'll start that flavouring off. And a little bit of mint. All right? And then basically, once that's up to the boil, that goes on to a very, very gentle simmer to extract all the flavour for about 30 to 35 minutes. And while that's simmering and developing flavour, we're going to go over to George so that he can make our fresh pasta and linguine.
Tom, why don't you come up and we'll make some fresh pasta together. Welcome to the kitchen of love, Tom. Yeah, so we're going to make some fresh pasta. It's something that you should always have in your repertoire, yeah? OK, so 200 grams of flour into a bowl. And just make sure you sort of well it around, so when you pop your eggs and your liquid in there, it's not going to stick to the sides. It will incorporate properly. Right, 2 whole eggs. One egg yolk. A little pinch of salt. OK, and a little drizzle of olive oil. OK, that's enough. OK, lid on. OK, and what we want to see is a crumb consistency. OK, turn it off. And just literally tip it all out. Yep, you want to get the gluten going in it, the elastic in it. Right, now, give the dough some work. Give us a feel. Yep, that's good, Tom. Right, next step is to roll the pasta out, OK, and create linguine. First thing to do is to give your space a little bit of a dust. I would squash it down a little bit more, just to give you a little bit of a head start. OK, that should be enough. And start putting that through. Okay. Now, at that point, pull it out, stretch it out. Just give it a light rub with some of that flour, OK? And then just fold it into each other, and then one more. And then what we're going to do is we're going to turn the dough, and we're going to start working it that way. And then again, we're going to turn it, and we're going to keep doing that, and it's going to get the gluten going, all right? Guide it. You need to guide it. That's it. So at this point, we've got a really nice texture. This is what the thickness of the linguine that we wanted at, OK? So we make sure we floured each side. It's got a good amount of flour so it doesn't stick to our machine. Now we're going to actually put it through and make our linguine shape. Yep. Keep going. Great. Then, it's got these beautiful hairs of pasta, okay?
Fantastic.
Well done. Good job.
So the lobster bisque has been cooking for about 35 minutes. It's smelling absolutely beautiful. So I'm just going to put the cream in now, which is the last part, and bring it back to the boil and simmer for about 3 minutes. Once the bisque has come back to the boil with the cream in, I'm just going to put a few more of those fresh, soft herbs in, so the tarragon, the mint and the chervil. And I'm just going to push them into the sauce, and I'm going to pop a lid on, and I'm just going to let that infuse so it draws a different flavour into the sauce. And then while that's doing that, I'm just going to take the tail off this lobster and use a couple of pieces for the pasta that we're doing. If you've not done this before, you've just got to tease the tail away from the top of the head, all right? And you've got to try and draw out as much of that flesh as you can, because all this stuff counts, right? And then basically what we do is we just press to crack the shell down the centre, and then using it like a lever, we then remove a bit like a prawn, we then remove the top parts of the shell. All right, nice and easy. Okay, so tail's removed, and then what I'm going to do is I'm going to take that sort of straggly bit off the end, and then I'm going to pop the lobster on the corner of the board, because I just find that this way I can, if I want to, I can remove, you know, lovely little medallions. All right, and I'm just going to use 3 for this.
I'm just wondering if, when you make the basic, like, prawn stocks and seafood stocks, how long they would keep in a freezer?
Well, freezer, there's a rule of thumb, which is 3 months.
Even for seafood, same thing?
Yeah, absolutely. So, lobster's ready to go for the pasta, and we're just going to get back to the sauce and strain that. So it's been just sitting there infusing for about 5 minutes, and then all we're going to do is strain this through the muslin. If you don't put it through muslin, you put it straight through a chinois or a sieve like this, then you're going to end up with little tiny sort of sediment that runs through the sauce, and you're never going to have that beautiful glossy finish. All right? All right, so what I'm doing with that muslin is I'm just twisting the top and then creating a bit of pressure so that I'm squeezing out the very last of that sauce. And you can see the olive oil that I used, or the fats that I used, which was olive oil in the cooking, and the cream, have come to the surface. That's beautiful. A lot of flavour in there. So once we've strained the sauce, right, we're then going to put that in a small pot and bring that up to the boil. Sam, do you want to come up and taste the sauce as it is now?
Yeah, absolutely.
So tell me what you taste.
Wow. Yeah, you can definitely taste there's a huge sort of seafood, shellfish flavour in it. You can definitely taste the tarragon.
Yep.
It's just a huge amount of depth in it.
Yeah, it does, doesn't it? Now, what I'm doing here is I'm just warming up a spoon. I'm just going to pour in a little bit of brandy, and I'm just going to flame it. I'm going to throw that. It seems really silly, doesn't it? It's such a small amount, but we've got a tiny bit of sauce in there. See, it's just flaming now?
Yep.
Yep. See that?
I can see that.
Watch this. Now taste it. Change it again?
Yeah, absolutely.
It does, doesn't it?
It really.
All right. You like that, don't you?
Yeah, can I take the pot?
No. OK, Sam, stop eating the sauce and get back.
Right. Our pasta, and we just pop that in. And I've put a little chinois in there, into the water, so I can catch it all. I don't need to take the pot to the sink, strain the water out, blah, blah, blah. These only take, 30 seconds. All right? Now, I've got some of the sauce that Gary gave me, and it's reduced down a little bit more, so it gives it a nice coat, a nice glaze. Strain it well. We don't want to put water into our sauce, all right? A little drizzle of olive oil. And we'll just give that a nice toss. And we've got this beautiful, rich, flavoursome pasta. Now, we get some of the little shredded bits of lobster. Goes in there. And again, just make sure it's all incorporated. Nice little medallions that Gary's just popped on the plate. And then on to the, okay? And we just pull that out like that. And it just holds up beautifully. Then just make sure you get some of these little bits of lobster on there.
Okay, so where we're at is that sauce, Sam, has been corrected, flamed a little bit of brandy into it. So butter in, and then we're going to foam this. Now remember, what the butter does is add that little bit of, you know, smoothness in your mouth, you know, it rounds off all those flavours. And then just before it goes out to the customer, it gets a little bit of something that makes you go, ooh.
So here you have it, guys, a really simple dish of linguine with lobster sauce and lobster.